Okay, guys, in 4 days' time, the EU Migration Pact kicks in and this country changes forever. Hi there, welcome back to the Politics Podcast. Yes, it's no exaggeration what I am saying today, Monday the 8th of June, that in 4 days' time, the 12th of June 2026, the EU Migration Pact kicks in. Despite the cries of the people of Ireland to stop this, it is coming to fruition in 4 days' time, and this country changes forever. Now, people might say that's exaggeration. People are duped by RTE and the politicians into believing that this EU Migration Pact is some sort of good thing for this country. Well, it's not. It is not. And Mark McSharry, a Fianna Fáil TD, before he resigned from politics or before he left politics, one of his last speeches in the Dáil was regarding the EU Migration Pact. It was some time ago, about a year and a half ago, I think. And I'm going to play that for you now. But it's absolutely chilling, because now we're heading straight into it now.
This is what we must do. We have opted in. Now, the reality is there a removal of parts of our sovereignty sought very specifically in the Treaty of Amsterdam and the Treaty of Lisbon? And the answer to that question is yes. And again, as Marian Harkin rightly pointed out, it will be decided by others under qualified majority voting just how many European colleagues feel Ireland are capable of taking in the future. Now, we have the lowest population per square kilometre in Ireland, in Europe. It's 71, Ciancurla. It's 279 in Belgium, 94 in Spain, 137 in Denmark. I wonder where they're going to feel the capacity exists. And that will be a fait accompli. And whatever 8-year-old today is sitting at cabinet then, when in Brussels it is determined, actually, we feel that of the 2.5 billion people who wish to migrate north, Ireland are in a position, given the low density of population there, to do it. I am here this evening to point out what I've been saying for the last 2.5 years. There is no strategic approach to migration over there. None whatsoever. We've taken a headless chicken approach. We decided to take over our tourism business to house people in Ukraine while incentivizing them to come. You're saying there's a plan when we have hundreds of people on the canals. It is an insult to the people of Ireland that ye are dressing this up, that any dissenting voice is a loony hard right. There's no hard right in this country, thankfully.
Okay, so you hear Mark McSharry there trying to sound the alarm bell, trying to sound the warning to people to wake up. Wake up. Now, I contacted all my TDs about the EU Migration Pact, and I know many, many others, many of my viewers, you would have done the same, but to no avail. It was no good. We have an opt-out with the Lisbon Treaty that was very precious to the people of Ireland to retain our sovereignty. But we know Micheál Martin and Fianna Fáil don't believe in this backward idea of sovereignty that we all know, that our ancestors knew, that the people who fought in 1916 fought for our sovereignty as a nation, and Fianna Fáil have dropped that like a hot potato, and they've gone with the EU route of this EU Migration Pact. We all know the hassle that immigration has caused, especially in the last few years here in Ireland. The housing crisis, majority of the homeless people on the homeless figures are non-nationals. We all know what's happening. The jobs, 6 in 10 jobs now are going to foreign workers. Now, do we think the EU Migration Pact is going to solve these problems? They are marketing the EU Migration Pact as some sort of saviour and some sort of solution to immigration in Ireland. Well, it's not. As Mark McSharry said there, the EU will dictate how many migrants we will take going into the future forevermore The EU will dictate how many we take based on our low population density and our land mass. And all you have to do is look out your window as you're travelling on a train or in your car at our land mass. It's absolutely chilling. Chilling what the future holds for this country. And I am not exaggerating. And as I said, we are still waiting for the politicians to come clean. They have built super IPAS centres, one in my own town here. Super IPAS centres. They know what's coming. They just haven't told the people yet. And in 4 days' time, it'll be too late to tell the people and too late to cause a fuss about this. But my advice is, after watching this video and after researching yourselves, and use your critical thinking skills to see what's going on, do we honestly think by building super IPAS centres and by relaxing the 50-50 rule of employers to hire 50% Irish and 50% foreign, that's a rule right now, they're relaxing that. Do we honestly think that the EU Migration Pact is going to solve this? It's going to get worse, way worse. But they will say that they did tell the people, that they did come clean. Simon Coveney, he came clean. He told the people that they want to double the population of every town in Ireland, which equals 10 million people. And if you don't believe me, hear his words himself.
That's why, I have been saying that my rule of thumb is that over the next 20 to 30 years, effectively, we want to attempt to double the size of all of the cities in population terms outside of Dublin.
Over the next 20 years, the population of Ireland will certainly grow by an extra 1 million people. Linked to that estimate is that half of that number won't have been born in Ireland. I think that'll be a really good thing for our society, but we do need to manage it carefully. So that we don't allow the politics of migration to play a big part in Irish politics.
So there you go. They have come clean. They have told us. But people have either chosen not to listen or maybe believe their local councillor who came begging for votes at the door, who said, no, that's just a far-right conspiracy. They're just crazy people. They are going to double the size of every town and village in Ireland. We can already see it with our own eyes. We see the giant IPAS centres, but it's not only illegal immigration, it's legal immigration. The numbers are just too high. We have no homes for the young Irish. There is no future. They're fleeing in their droves from this country to other countries. But I feel sorry for the young because it's happening in the entire Western world. There is sounds crazy, it's not a conspiracy, there is a globalist plot, a globalist plan to destroy the entire Western world via mass immigration. And that includes legal and illegal. And they've basically told us. And people have not listened. I've been talking for 8 years. There's many others that have been talking for a lot longer about this globalist plan to destroy the West. And I will play you now Christine Anderson, who is an MEP, a member of the European Parliament, who has been trying to warn people for years and years now as well. But let's listen to her now together.
Why, I ask, why should we diversify our society? Who came up with that idea? I don't know. Did you vote on that? Did you have to have a say in the matter whether or not you wanted multiculti and diversity in your society? Did anyone ask you? Of course not. Because anyone in their right mind would have said, no, well, hang on a second here. Let's think about this. Let's talk about this. And no, we don't want this. But you weren't even asked. And I also asked the question, anyone ever heard one of our politicians making a case that we needed to diversify Africa? You don't hear about that. How come? Why is that? Why is it only happening in Western democracies? because these are the target countries. What is going on here? Why would they do that? Look at Japan. When you compare Japan to Germany in terms of economic data, we are pretty comparable. They apparently don't need diversity. The Japanese government simply says, no, we don't want this. And that's it. And that's actually all our governments would have to do as well. Just say, no, we don't want this.
Okay, she's absolutely correct. Just say no. All along, all our government had to say was no. We had an opt-out from the EU Migration Pact, like Denmark, and Denmark took that option. Our government did not. Our government did not. And if you think that our opposition are any better, think again. We know Sinn Féin lobbied for migrants to be included as a protected class in the hate speech legislation. Now, that failed so far. It hasn't disappeared, by the way, but that's Sinn Féin for you. They are absolutely not the answer. And as Christine Anderson, MEP, just said there, did you vote for this? Were you asked for this, society? Never. Did any politician, local or TD, come to the door looking for your vote and tell you that their plan was a diverse society where 6 in 10 jobs currently are going to foreign workers, where foreign people are buying up the houses on your children's, on the youth of Ireland? Which politician asked for your vote but told you the truth? Which politician came clean? None. Zero. Even opposition. And they all know, by the way, if a randomer like me knows, then all your politicians knew all along. And there's 4 days left now. If the whole country kicked up a fuss right now, I'm sure something could be done. But after the 12th of June, it's done. It's over. As Simon Coveney says, we are going to double the size of every town and village in Ireland. And he told us. But RTE didn't tell us. Because people have to rely, like I did, and many of my friends, you have to rely on your own critical thinking, on your own time and energy and research in the right places and listening and not be duped. But RTE never, ever told the nation. If they had taken that piece of Simon Coveney's or this Christine Anderson and put it on a primetime special about immigration, about where it's headed, about what's happening, about the real numbers, about the numbers of jobs and houses. And if the Gardaí had reported about the criminal data of foreigners, like they do in the UK, the police come out every now and again and tell you exactly the nationality of criminals and the percentage. But RTE didn't do that. RTE did not do that. Primetime did not do that. Most of the radio stations, all the radio stations, are getting funding from the government. They're not going to come clean. So nobody came clean, and now we're 4 days away. And as Mark McSharry said, the Fianna Fáil, ex-Fianna Fáil TD, the EU will, this is the only sentence you need to remember now. When you're talking to people or your local politician, you ask them why they did not come clean. And the only sentence you need to remember of this EU Migration Pact is the EU will dictate how many migrants we will take based on our low population density and our land mass. And as I said, all you have to do is look out the window at your land mass, at the land mass of Ireland. It's massive. And we know that the EU do not care what the people of Ireland think. They don't care about the fish. They've taken all the fish. They've left us a 12% fish quota in our own ocean, sea. They don't care about the turf. They're fining Ireland now, fining because people are still cutting turf. They do not care, and if they don't care about our fish and they don't care about our turf, they do not care what we think about immigration. And our government, including our opposition, are all for the EU. And the EU, what the EU says is what the EU, is what our government does here and what our politicians do, including our opposition. The EU is the boss. We are just the busy bees working and giving the money to the boss. And they do not care about us. And we deserved, I'm saying the past tense now, it's too late now. In my opinion, after everything I've learned, it's too late. But we deserved, at the very least, a referendum on immigration. And they never gave it to us. And we deserved to do what Denmark did and opt out of the EU Migration Pact. We had no business entering the EU Migration Pact after our housing situation, after immigration already is causing chaos. After all the crime that has happened, we had no business sticking our nose into the EU Migration Pact, but no. They did it anyway. And it is a very, very sad day, the 12th of June, 2026. If you're watching this video in 30 years, you will know what I mean now, how it's a very sad day. So guys, as usual, set up an account on X. If you don't fancy it, I'll be here as always, and share the info in this video. There's 4 days left. At the very least, your counsellor needs a lecture about it, and your TD. At the very least. It's too late in my opinion. It's too late to lobby them about it. The time has gone. But at the very least, they need a piece of your mind. That's what they need. Either a phone call or an email or a text. Your counsellors and your TDs and your local radio stations and RTE, because they never came clean. And it's absolutely despicable. Because as I said, in 4 days' time, this country changes forever. And I am very, very sad that it came to this. Okay, guys, like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I thank you for listening and watching. And I'll be back on the next one. And who knows what the news will be then. Take care. See you in the next one, guys. Bye.